Browder. You may remember Bill Browder was a person who testified before Congress back in July or August, and I made a video about it because it was kind of an important topic. He testified. He's an investor or a financier. He's a very wealthy individual, and he seems to be a kind of stand-up guy. I would like to be able to just jump on board, but let's just say that from what I've seen, he seems like a really stand-up guy. He's fighting corruption in Russia. Now how that came about may make a little more sense. He was investing in Russia. He was trying to profit from Russia's progress coming out of the Soviet Union and well, the rather large depressing area the rather large, long, depressing era that happened after they came out of the Soviet Union. And so Russia is now some kind of representative democracy. I forget what it looks like, but it's really an oligarchy. It's really a governmental system that's being run by the wealthy individuals of Russia. Well, Vladimir Putin, a former KGB agent, some might say current KGB agent, Vladimir Putin at some point found himself with enough power to challenge these oligarchs and literally arrested one of them and threw him in a cage in the middle of a courtroom and convicted him handily, and then turned to the rest and said, hey guys, I want half. And so he got half. He controls half of the corrupt money in Russia, arguably making him the richest person in the world. Well, Bill Browder was this poor guy who's not poor, but he's definitely been treated poorly. And he comes in, he's investing in Russia, and he's getting along with Putin, and he's noticing the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt money, and he's losing money, many double-digit percentage points, 30, 40, 50% of his investments he's seeing hits as high as that in corruption and things like that. So he opens his own investigation, and he hires his own attorney, Sergei Magnitsky, to investigate. And while he's conducting this investigation, Sergei Magnitsky, I forget it. Did he shoot himself in the head twice? Is that what it was? Was that the one? Sergei Magnitsky committed suicide in a very non-suicidal way, but it was ruled as suicide. You know how this works? I'm seriously not that big a conspiracy theorist. This is a real story. So Sergei Magnitsky commits suicide, but it's not suicide, and the investigation on our end uncovers this, and a law was made, sanctions were put in place called the Magnitsky Act. Let me see if I can figure out if I could spell. The Magnitsky Act, formerly known as the Russia and Moldova-Jackson-Vanik Repeal and Sergei Magnitsky Rule of Law Accountability Act of 2012, is a bipartisan bill passed by Congress, signed by President Obama, intending to punish Russian officials responsible for the death of Russian tax accountant, Russian tax accountant Sergei Magnitsky in a Moscow prison in 2009. Sergei Magnitsky died after investigating fraud involving Russian tax officials. So Bill Browder comes to U.S. Congress and testifies about all of this. And you can go watch his testimony. It is a video. It is online. I did a story about it, and then you can actually go watch his video. It is kind of it is gripping to watch him testify about this. And he's in the middle of doing all this. He's conducting his investigation. He's now an anti-corruption advocate, and he's doing all of this. And so doesn't Russia go ahead and put him on Interpol's Red Notice watch list, which is the list they put you on to have you picked up by international authorities without a warrant? And they managed to get his travel visa revoked for a few hours, at least for about 24 hours, until the situation was resolved by Interpol. And Interpol has now had to issue a statement to its member nations to ignore Russia's attempts to arrest Bill Browder because it's obviously a corrupt attempt to involve someone who's investigating them. Jesus! What the heck, people? I mean, could you be more obvious? So, guys, when we talk about the Russians, please don't assume that the Russians are our friends now. There are definitely Russian people who are friendly, and I love the Russian culture very much. I love the Russian people very much, but the Russian authorities are some of the most corrupt. The Russian mafia is some of the most active. Really, let's be a little bit more skeptical about Russia in the future, because some of this stuff is really happening, and it's a bit concerning.